You think this is a game? You don't touch that door, ever! Do you hear me?
She's a child, sir. Lower your voice. She didn't know.
Scared
She's
or not,
scared.
this is my cockpit. Safety isn't up for
Then
debate.
talk to me, not...
I'm going to have to ask you to stand up. The words were calm, but the grip on her arm was not. Gasps rippled through the cabin as the young woman in seat 2A was pulled from first class, her boarding pass fluttering to the floor. Cameras rose. No one moved. No one spoke. Moments later, the video would explode online, and the CEO himself would step in, changing everything. This isn't just about one flight. It's about what happens when power, prejudice, and truth collide mid-air. Welcome, story lovers. Where are you watching from? Hit the like button and drop your city name in the comments so we can see how far our story travels. The sun spilled softly through the airport's glass walls, reflecting off polished floors and travelers' hurried footsteps. Among them was Aaliyah Brooks, a 29-year-old tech consultant whose quiet confidence drew subtle glances. Her suitcase rolled smoothly behind her, its rhythmic sound almost soothing, each step a reminder of how far she'd come. This trip wasn't just another business flight. It was her first time flying first class, a reward she'd promised herself after years of long nights and hard work. To Aaliyah, this moment was more than comfort. It was validation. She had earned her seat, her title, her peace. Dressed in a tailored navy suit, her natural curls framed a face glowing with anticipation. The scent of freshly brewed coffee from the nearby lounge mingled with the low hum of announcements. Everything felt calm, predictable, safe. As she approached the gate, a flight attendant smiled politely, though her eyes flickered for a second longer than they should have. Aaliyah noticed, but brushed it off. She'd seen that look before. The silent assessment, the disbelief that she belonged in specific spaces. It was subtle, almost invisible. Almost. When she stepped onto the plane, the air was crisp and perfumed with expensive cologne and champagne. Rows of white passengers settled comfortably in leather seats, exchanging quiet laughter. She smiled, placed her bag in the overhead compartment, and sank into 2A, a window seat, her favorite. For a moment, everything felt right. The flight attendants moved efficiently, their voices calm and professional. But then something shifted. Whispers began behind her. Glances stretched a little too long. The serenity of the cabin felt thinner, colder. A shadow of tension crept in, one she couldn't name yet, but could feel tightening around her. Aaliyah looked out the window, unaware that the flight ahead would not just test her composure, but expose the deep fractures of an industry built to look polished, yet still stained by bias. The plane doors closed with a metallic click. Aaliyah exhaled, ready for peace, a few hours disconnected from deadlines and meetings. She adjusted her seatbelt, scrolling through the in-flight menu glowing on the screen. The hum of engines began to rise. Then came a sharp voice. "Excuse me, miss. Can I see your boarding pass again?" The words sliced through the calm. Aaliyah looked up. The attendant's polite smile didn't reach her eyes. Confused, Aaliyah handed over the pass. The woman studied it longer than necessary, scanning, frowning, then forcing a grin that looked practiced. "There seems to be a mistake," she said quietly. "This seat might not be yours." Aaliyah blinked. "There must be some confusion," she replied, steady but firm. "This is my assigned seat, 2A." The attendant hesitated, then leaned toward a colleague. They whispered, glancing back at her, their smiles stiff. Around them, passengers pretended not to notice, but their curiosity betrayed them. The tension spread like static through the cabin. Minutes later, another crew member appeared. This time, a man with a badge that read supervisor. His tone was clipped, professional in a way that only amplified its coldness. "Ma'am, you'll have to come with us," he said. Her pulse quickened. "Why? What's going on?" He didn't answer. His hand hovered near her shoulder, not quite touching, but close enough to make her feel cornered. Then came the words that froze her. "We've had a report that your ticket doesn't match our manifest." Aaliyah's stomach dropped. She had checked in, printed her pass, cleared security, all without issue. Yet here she was, being treated like an intruder. Every pair of eyes seemed to pierce through her skin. A phone camera tilted discreetly toward her. She could hear the whispers now. What did she do? Maybe she's in the wrong seat. They wouldn't make a mistake like that. Her throat tightened. She wanted to speak, to explain, but she knew how easily her tone could be twisted. How quickly calm words from someone who looked like her could be labeled aggressive. When the supervisor called for security, something inside her cracked. A uniformed guard appeared, his presence heavy, his expression unreadable. He gestured toward the aisle. "Ma'am, please stand up." Aaliyah's hands trembled as she gathered her things. Her seat, the one she had earned, was no longer hers. As she stood, the cabin fell silent except for the faint buzz of recording phones. The walk down the narrow aisle felt endless. Every step burned with humiliation, every breath heavier than the last. Her voice trembled when she finally spoke. "You're making a mistake." But no one answered. No one moved. By the time she reached the gate, the ache in her chest had turned to disbelief. She had been dragged from first class like she was invisible. Her success, her humanity erased in seconds, and as the plane prepared to take off without her, somewhere in a glass office hundreds of miles away, the airline's CEO received a call that would change everything. The incident had just begun, and so had the reckoning. The video hit the internet before Aaliyah even reached the terminal exit. Within minutes, her humiliation was global. A black woman, well-dressed, calm, being escorted off a plane she paid for, accused of nothing yet treated like a threat. Hashtags spread like wildfire. News anchors replayed the clip, dissecting her every expression. But in the heart of the airline's headquarters, the scene sparked something more profound, a storm brewing behind closed doors. When the CEO, Daniel Whitmore, saw the footage, he didn't just see a PR disaster. He saw a reflection of an industry rotting beneath its polished image. He ordered the plane grounded mid-route. The message was clear. This would not be buried under procedural errors or miscommunication. He boarded the next jet himself, flying to the very airport where it all began. By the time he arrived, reporters swarmed the terminal. The crew waited, pale-faced, clutching statements rehearsed by legal teams. And then silence. His footsteps echoed as he entered the gate area, eyes locked on the supervisor who had dragged Aaliyah from her seat. No shouting, no theatrics, just truth, sharp and heavy. You pulled her from that seat because of how she looked, not what she did. The air turned electric. The cameras rolled. The supervisor's voice faltered, excuses crumbling under the weight of accountability. In that moment, the story stopped being just Aaliyah's. It became a mirror the entire world was forced to look into. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments. The aftermath was unlike anything the airline industry had ever seen. Within 24 hours, Aaliyah's story dominated global headlines. The video, millions of views, countless reposts, had become more than just evidence of one woman's mistreatment. It had become a movement. Daniel Whitmore didn't issue a polished corporate apology. Instead, he called for a full-scale investigation, personally meeting Aaliyah to offer an unfiltered apology, human, direct, sincere. Cameras weren't allowed in the room, but witnesses said the CEO stood, not sat, as he listened. For the first time, someone in power didn't speak over a black woman's pain. He let her voice fill the silence. The airline suspended multiple staff members and rewrote its anti-bias policies from the ground up. Mandatory empathy and equity training replaced outdated procedural checklists. But beyond policy, something greater shifted. Travelers began questioning what they had taken for granted, how privilege shaped every experience, even something as routine as boarding a plane. As for Aaliyah, she didn't fade into anonymity. She became a speaker, an advocate, a voice reminding the world that racism isn't always shouted. It often hides behind professionalism, behind policy. And though she never asked to be the face of change, she stood in it with strength and grace, because sometimes justice doesn't arrive quietly. It lands like a plane, with turbulence that shakes an entire system awake. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, share it forward and ask yourself, when silence fills the cabin, will you be the one who speaks?